Welcome, everybody, to the September meeting of the Health of Higgins Lake Steering Committee. And if you would all please rise and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The secretary show we called the meeting to order at 6 o'clock and call the roll, please. Bigger is excused. Bozer, Dyson, Walker, Nosling. Shows we've got a quorum, so we're good to go. All right. I would entertain a motion for the approval of, if anybody has any questions about the meeting agenda, any additions or corrections to the agenda that's in front of you that you'd like to see on the board. Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it's been presented.
Motion.
Motion by Tyson,
Second.
second by Walker. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. We, at the last meeting, the last steering committee meeting, it's my understanding that the minutes of the previous meeting hadn't been formally adopted. So I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the July meeting, which you have all been given a copy of earlier on, or should have anyway. And
So moved. July.
moved for the July meetings by Dyson and support.
Boozer.
Boozer. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed. Okay. And moving on to the minutes for the meeting, for the August meeting. Once again, is there any discussion? Any questions? Not, I entertain a motion for those minutes.
I'll make a motion
Bert Walker.
to accept the minutes from August 25th.
Support.
August 2025. Second.
Bert Tyson. All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carried. That brings us to public comments on any agenda items. Is there any comments from the audience that anybody would like to make on what you see? There's a couple copies floating around there of the agenda. Is there anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, if not, we will we'll just move on. At the last township board meeting, the board accepted the resignation of Stan Manzik, who, for personal reasons, decided he didn't want to carry on as the chairman or a member of the steering committee. So we accepted with regret his resignation. And for the very time being, the interim, I want to stress that, they appointed me to Jim Osling to act as the interim chair for until we get the couple more positions filled and find somebody for the chairman's position. So for the next short time, I'll take over those reins. They also approved at my suggestion, I think, the addition of 2 members to the committee, to the steering committee. Right now, it's a 5-member committee. When we first set it up, it seemed like it was a good idea. 5 was the right number to keep it small and local, but a lot of good people can't be here all the time, and 5 members runs a risk of not being able to make a quorum. So, which you run the risk of that at 7 as well when winter gets here, but a little more diversity and a little more input and a few more heads into where we're headed is a good idea. So we'll be looking for a couple of new members. There's no specific plan to add those 2 at this point. or candidates at this point. So if any of you know anybody that's interested, I've just reached out to the township board as well. If you know anybody that's interested in getting on the committee, have them get in touch with either the township board, somebody, or to me, and we'll take it from there. So the subcommittee reports, this is when we would start into the sub. Yeah, sure.
We don't have in here where Walker was nominated to our committee. Should that be in the notes there somewhere?
Yeah, it should be recognized on your
Yeah.
notes here.
Yeah.
She was approved by the township board. So if you would note that Jenny Walker was approved by the township board as to fill the vacancy on the steering committee.
Oh, of Stan.
Yeah. There was an additional a member vacancy,
Okay,
call it a member vacancy.
okay,
So she was appointed to fill that member vacancy.
okay.
And that was moved, seconded, and approved by the Gerrish Township Board at their last meeting.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Subcommittee reports. I'm going to go down. I put together you have it here with you, I'm still struggling a little bit as to how the best way to keep people informed, the board, for one thing, the township board, and the community, the best way to keep people informed, but without inundating with too much information. And I think the best way to do it is to prepare, for the chair to prepare a short report. This one's 3 pages, and it's a little bit about each of them. We'll go through those, a little bit about each of the committees, as well as any outstanding items that are problematic, or we need to address, or we need to take further action on, or whatever, and get that into a monthly report. And this monthly report, I'd like to see done by right at the very end of the month, even shortly before the month is over. That way I can assemble it and get it to the township board at their work session, which is the first Thursday of the month. They will then meet, and we can go over, give me a chance to go over any of the items that are out there. We can talk through them. The board can get advised. If there's any action to be taken, then that would have to go on to the township board meeting, likely the following week. So I don't know if it's, there's a few of these in the audience. Would you like me to read through these reports? It might be informative, and it might gin up some questions. We can give, at least for the steering piece of it anyway. Maybe I can summarize some of the other ones, but let me just try this on the steering committee and see how this goes. Steering committee, I'm sorry to report that Stan Manzik, chair of the steering committee, has resigned due to personal reasons. We respect his decision and wish him well. He will be missed. As discussed by the board at the September work session, it's proposed that Jim Osling assume the chairman's role on an interim basis and fill open positions and search for a chairperson. It was also proposed that we expand the 5-member steering committee to 7 members, providing additional flexibility to members' winter schedules and their time away from the area. The steering committee will be considering the level of reporting and how to best keep a consistent and informative approach. Subcommittees continue to report their activities, and the steering committee will review and consolidate information and publish as appropriate. While the actual information format remains fluid, we are interested in the board's comments and how, when, and to what level of detail they would like to see the reporting. We want to make sure that everyone is aware of it and can comment on the work of the Health of Higgins Lake. Committees continue to meet on a regular basis and are making great progress. Following is a brief discussion on the activities of each. I'll read through Brad's on the science side of it, because Brad couldn't make it tonight. The science committee is loaded with experts, is loading reports into Nextcloud database. Creators are starting to review docs and tag keywords and other searchable items. This work will take time to complete, but will eventually provide a searchable repository for reports and documents detailing conditions around the lake. This data can be evaluated and used for analysis and conditions of whether additional information or studies are needed. Evaluation of the data being loaded will begin by the end of September when comparisons can be made. Data from studies around other lakes is also being entered into for reference. This information can be used for comparisons, evaluating trends elsewhere. Additional items being evaluated by the leadership of the Science Committee will be added to their agenda when appropriate. I'm going to reach out to Sue. Does that sound from what you guys are also, Sue's the chair of the Communications Committee and sees a lot of this stuff. So, and I think anything in there that's too far off base that you can see it. Okay. Okay. Here's an update that was actually since the August meeting, but I think it's good information for now. It'll end up on the report for September. So I'm going to carve this piece off and make it a part of the report for next month. And then each of those reports will then be entered onto the township's website, in addition to the Health of Higgins Lake website. They'll be in both spots. So we can hopefully we'll be able to picture us being able to go to any given month of the year and pick off the report for that month and give you an idea what's going on. Once again, I don't want to get too wordy, too carried away, but at a high level. So additionally, since the end of September, I got this from Brad Gibson. The Science Committee met on September 10th and will meet again on September 24th. We have worked in a collaborative fashion to set our ground rules, as well as determining the issues and methods we will study. Thus far, we have reached a consensus on every item. Below is a list of our accomplishments. First, created a repository using Nextcloud software to submit and store data, studies, and reports related to Higgins Lake Health and other studies which will be relevant to the Higgins Lake Health. Members of the subcommittees have been trained on how to submit reports and studies. Over 30 studies have been submitted, more likely to be presented. Zotero software will begin back up. Zotero software is being utilized to make the report searchable. Before the searchability function is operational, each report goes through a curation process to make the documents searchable. Most of the documents have been curated. The subcommittee's work has been sorted into 8 various problems we wish to review. The 8 categories are nearshore water quality, invasive species, groundwater and drinking water contamination, watershed quality, changing fisheries, deep water quality, increasing recreational activities on the lake, and non-nutrient contaminants such as PFAS pharmaceuticals. Each problem will have a list of questions to be reviewed and analyzed. Questions have been created for 7 of the 8 problems. Attached is a current list of problems and questions. And note that it is a living document and is updated regularly. A decision has been made to create subcommittees now to research and study each of the problems. Subcommittees and members will be selected by the end of September. The process of each subcommittee will utilize and address the questions is being established. We had a discussion on the method, yet it needs to be finalized. There's 15 people probably sitting around some tables here all discussing these issues, and they came up with collectively a list of what they viewed as problems, as I read off there. And then now they're in search of answers to those problems. That's kind of the overall look at what the Science Committee is doing for now. I talked to Brad the other day, and it sounds like things are well underway. He's very satisfied with the progress that's being made. Once again, there's people from every discipline around this lake. All the organizations are represented, lots of opinions, lots of points of view, and they're not all the same. So they spend a lot of time going through these questions, and it's a very interesting couple hours well spent if you want to listen in on it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So on the first page there, the bullet point, second from the bottom, it says attached is the current list of problems and questions. Can we strike that since it's not attached?
Yes. Yeah, yes.
I mean, people might be looking for that and it's not
Good
attached.
point.
Thank you.
Where the decision.
It's the second
There it
bullet
is.
at the
I
bottom.
got it. Any questions on the science piece of it for right now? We'll revisit it if we need to.
No, but I think it's great, the progress that they're making.
Yeah, yep, they're doing good. Communications is next. Sue Gelderblum's in the audience. Do you want to want me to read through it, Sue, or do you want? Yes. Okay. The Communications Committee continues to make steady progress in strengthening outreach engagement efforts. Email campaigns, our email distribution list has grown to approximately 155 addresses. We plan to distribute 2 emails per month. The ripple effects, a monthly summary highlighting key updates from each committee, and committee reflections sent approximately 2 weeks later, offering an in-depth look at one of the committees. August focus was on the septic committee, and September's focus is on road ends. Social media and website. Weekly Facebook posts will share information from committee updates and will also be shared across 12 additional community pages. Our website has been upgraded with further improvements underway. To date, the site has welcomed over 500 visitors. New tagline is exploring every impact, empowering every voice, ensuring a healthier Higgins Lake. A banner featuring this tagline has been ordered and will be displayed at the Gerrish Hall. Next, we filmed Jim Osling explaining the health of Higgins Lake and what the health of Higgins Lake is different than all other organizations around the lake. With regard to community outreach, the Health of Higgins Lake business cards featuring our website are now available at most local businesses. Community response to our yard sign campaign has been strong, with 92 of 100 signs being distributed. A marquee message is currently posted at Glad's, and on a second location has been secured. Our next outreach will be the Rocktoberfest in Roscommon on October 4th, where there will be a host of and an informational table. Collaboration and research. We have scheduled a meeting with Professor Amanda Boudet of Grand Valley State University to explore the possibility of conducting a community-wide survey. Community development. All members of the Communications Committee have now been trained on Nextcloud to support the more efficient collaboration. Needless to say, the Communications Committee has got a lot of stuff going on. It's all very pointed, all great stuff. I don't know how much of this was talked about on the steering committee ahead of time. I was at the last meeting, but I don't, if you've got any questions about any of this stuff as we're going along, that would be the function of the steering committee to either check it or correct it or endorse it or whatever. But that's what we want to keep an eye on what all's going on here. Jenny?
We would need to strike on the line that says our next outreach event will be the Rocktoberfest. That will not be included, but there are several others that we've considered.
Okay, let's strike this. Our next outreach will be the Rocktoberfest. Let's add that into the next report and just put it on for next month. And this is essentially an August report of what's upcoming, but let's put that on for next month.
Well, first of all, I really love the tagline. I think that it's never easy to come up with those. There's a lot of conversation about how to wordsmith. So kudos to the communication team for making that happen. I do have a question about the second bullet, and that's about, just because I'm curious myself, it says weekly Facebook post will share information and will also be shared across 12 additional community pages. Can you just give me an idea about what community pages there are, because I'm not here a lot, so. You want to come up to here, so that's okay. No, I just to get an idea. Yeah, turn it on, I think. No, just an idea.
Yeah, there's Higgins Lake Community, Slice of Time, HigginsLake.mi, Higgins Lake, Higgins Lake United. I already said that. What are some of the other ones that, what is it? Higgins Lake Neighborhood.
So pretty much anything that says Higgins Lake on it. Okay. all right.
Yeah, we really searched anything that has anything to do with Higgins Lake and made a list of them. And then as we post, we try to hit everything.
Fabulous. Okay, thank you.
Sue, before you get going, is there anything else you wanted to add that you needed to talk about while we've got you here? We good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're open for suggestions. If we're missing anything, if there's some hole in what we're doing, we're more than willing to entertain a wonderful committee.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some great people on that committee, as you can tell, just, well, the other committees are out turning the crank on various, specific items, and these folks are getting the message out as to what's going on. So, we're still working our way through some of it, but it's coming along good. So, anything else to what we've talked about so far? Move on to the septic report. The septic committee, actually, I'm the chair of the septic committee. The septic committee meets every 2 weeks. The basic theme adopted by this committee is educate, evaluate, and execute. Short clips about what residents should and should not put into their septics, how septic tanks work, how they differ from municipal systems, as well as many other topics. These clips are put on a website each month for folks to review and used as a go-to for residents to become more educated. One of our committee members gathered together a bunch of stuff from the EPA and several clips, got them to the communications committee. They're holding them. They're ready to put them onto the website every month. So that thing's just kind of clipping along on a regular basis. It worked out good. And we'll continue to feed them with. They are working closely. The septic committee is working closely with the Central Michigan District Health to leverage their Fetch GIS database containing information on the septic systems within the township. Data, handwritten for years, has been scanned and is now being entered into their computerized Fetch system. We will have access to this information soon and be able to query the data for additional research. This will allow us to make better decisions about a potential septic ordinance. At the same time, the septic committee is reviewing topics and attributes for a township-wide septic ordinance that will address the problem areas around the lake and within the township. Problem areas such as undersized tanks or fields, or performing systems without any data to do an evaluation, and systems installed too close to the lake or domestic water wells will be looked at. It's likely that inspections for systems without any old data will be inspected. We are evaluating a list of potential inspectors and revisiting a checklist as they use to evaluate the systems. The committee will make recommendations to the Planning Commission and to the Township Board for future action. Fetch is the Central Michigan District Health Department's computer system that is gathering together the information that's been in their file folders and their file cabinets for years has now been scanned. It's all been scanned, and there's a whole group of people, some of which are in the room right here, that are going into open up each of those files and entering the actual data from the scan file and entering it into the computer program. So that information, the size of the tank, the proximity to wells, the number of bedrooms of the house, first of all, whether there's even anything at that location, that'll all be available for the health department to go back and quickly scan and see what's at a particular address, what's at that site, and what kind of condition it's in. We're going to also have access to that, and exactly how that's going to come together remains to be seen. But I have had the first cut out of it that I got from the health department when they had a part of the township done. I asked if I could get just an output to see what that would be. And so I got that report, and then I melded that with a database that I started to put together that includes property ID, owners, their address, the property address, mailing addresses, and then a bunch of other information. And then that was melded in with the fetch information, and now I'm able to go back and say, okay, show me all of the properties in section 17 that are 3-bedroom houses or whatever, the information that comes back. So we can search for that. And we should be able to go through that at some point and say, show me all of the sites that have undersized septic tanks. And if that's an issue we want to chase, back comes the list of those addresses, and we can send a mailer off to those folks. And with the idea is to send something off that gets them to get inspections done on their properties would be the ultimate goal. So that work's in progress. It's coming along good. Sue, you're involved in that. Do you know what the status of the purple dots piece is? Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, the health department's a little nervous about what their budget's going to be and how much they're going to be able to contribute, and then how much they'll rely on outside help like we're doing right now to.
Question, can somebody explain purple dot person?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the purple people. Yeah.
And I don't think anybody heard, for the record, what you said earlier.
The health department site, the fetch site, they have placed a purple dot on every house that has some type of health department record. So there's properties that have no records at all, which I think was the first query you were able to do, was absolutely no records in the health department. And we call ourselves the purple dot ladies. Now, if these other two people come on, it won't have to be the purple dot people, but basically we open the record and map it into the fetch system and put in all of the data.
So purple means they do have data.
There is data, but that data doesn't mean they have a septic. Some of them just have a well log.
Nice.
And no record of any septic.
And what about people who don't have a purple?
Then they've never contacted the health department for anything. So the health department has no record of them having a well or a septic, and oftentimes there's a house there.
That's the universe that we're looking for, where to be the first one. If there really indeed are, and there are places out there that do not have any information on it, they're either the records never got updated or for whatever reason. So we would like to ideally get a letter off to those folks and say, there's no information here. So then it moves on to, here's a list of inspectors that you can call to get an inspection done on your property and get your records updated in the health department's database, and turn that purple dot into, or turn that no dot into a purple dot. At the same time, they're going through the purple dots and they're finding, like Sue said, they pulled the file out of the file cabinet and turns out it was a well log, but there's nothing on their septic system. So once the data gets in, we'll be able to query that and find out have a better idea what the real condition is around the lake. And that's kind of information that when we met with the health department, they were at a septic meeting, the first part of September. And they have not had anybody ask to do what we're looking to do. It's new to them too, this this fetch system. So we would like to exploit it the best we can and have a way to update the entire township with this information, to get their records where they belong, and as a matter of public health, get our township where it belongs. So,
And there's one other category where they might have applied for a septic, but it was never inspected. So it was never approved.
So they might have put it in, but without.
Yeah, the
follow-up.
application is in the system, but it was never finalized or approved.
Okay, big mountain to climb.
just as a side note, we
Thank you.
had comments have been made about, oh, there's areas where there's not going to be any record there because these folks have had these properties forever and ever, and nobody's ever checked on them. Well, we went through that particular area that I'm talking about, and it turns out that, yeah, there are records there. And now, we're getting a better idea of what stands out there, what's in the works. So,
Thank you.
tomorrow the septic committee meets, and we have a couple of local haulers, septic haulers that have worked here for years and years. They're on a list of approved inspectors. Actually, the list of the approved inspectors has got about 80 people on it, and we're going to do something about getting that down to a more reasonable number of people that are local, not necessarily local, but that are willing to work locally and have the ability and the experience to do these inspections. So, and two of the local haulers are going to be here for our meeting tomorrow to go through what the next steps would be. So,
And a question, will there be clarity about the vetting process for that, going from 80 to whatever it is?
it hasn't been decided,
Right.
what we'll do. That, once again, I just think that's a way too big of a number. Some of those people just made sure they got their name on a list so that they would be involved, and never did an inspection. They started in Lyon Township. That's where the list came
I
from.
remember, yeah.
And a lot of those people are from the Mount Pleasant area, and they never did any inspections, and I doubt they want to be on the next list. So if they do, we'll include them, but we want to just make sure that they're qualified. And the inspectors that had been out that have done this work, they will have good ideas about what works and what doesn't work, what we need to maybe focus on a little sharper on, and stuff that we can that does not contribute to a good inspection. So we want to hear from them tomorrow. IT.
Everything that you have on the sheet is correct, so.
That's what I like to hear. The team's been for information technology and funding. The team has been collaborating with all committees to be sure everyone has access to Nextcloud file storage. Storage space on the Health of Higgins Lake server has been created, allowing each subcommittee space to store pertinent documents. Meeting notes, charts and graphs, reports, personnel roster, and general information is all housed under one entity. For example, the Science Committee is searching for pertinent reports, papers, opinions, etc., affecting the lake. These are being stored and will then be evaluated and categorized for future research. A software product called Zotero is being used for further evaluation. They are also working with the Communications Committee on our website approach and preparing for mass mailings in the future. Several training sessions have been conducted to bring users up to speed on the Nextcloud and Zotero systems. I think probably I'd hazard 90% of the 55 people on the committee have been through the training.
We are going to do one final training tentatively next Thursday at 7 p.m. and get to be available.
Okay.
But that's plans. And then with the communications committee's assistance, I am probably going to make a YouTube video for anyone that has not been to.
Okay.
That's the plan.
That's a secure, I guess I'll use that term, a secure network that we've created for this committee.
It's the Swedish government, the French government, and parts of the German government are using it as well. So it's a very secure collaboration.
It's intended to be for the use of the people doing this work and this research. The outputs from it will be made public through reports from each of the committees to the steering committee and then back to the township board. I think we might get into that in just a minute, just a little bit further on the agenda. Road ends. Road ends are known to contribute to the contamination and pollution of Higgins Lake. In the early 1990s, the Roscommon County Road Commission commissioned an investigation into the runoff at the road ends around the lake. The study looked at conditions contributing to soil and contaminants that are being discharged into the lake. The study was updated in the early 2010s, so comparisons could be made over time. The subcommittee is now reevaluating that information and revisiting the sites, collecting information, then reviewing it with the road commission. A plan will be prepared to address the most critical sites soon and get remaining repairs on the schedule to address. Because this is a lake-wide effort, the subcommittee is addressing sites in both Gerrish and Lyon Township to be sure all sources are considered. Most of the field work has been completed and data is being assembled into a report for the road commission now. These are public road ends. The reports that were done in the 1990s and again in 2010 need to be collectively updated so that we know what's happening everywhere. The trends, as I looked at it before with Tim, the trends are getting better from 90 to 2010. Every one of those, well, not every one, almost every one of them had a trend down in the amount of pollution, the amount of runoff that ran into the lake and the amount of sediment that, especially the tonnage of settlement, I don't remember the numbers now, but had cut by half maybe in that 10 years, in that 20 years. And now we're 20 years later and we want to see what happens this go around. As an update, as of yesterday, the road committee had been visiting each of the road ends and gathering conditions information in an effort to document their condition. This information will be helpful determining what the next steps will be. One of the tasks was to capture GPS locations for each of the road ends. The team will be completed with this information by today. I heard from Tim earlier today, and it sounds like they finished the last of them. So we now have a GPS location at each of those road ends tied to that, which there's a couple of other things coming along that will interface with as well. So that's the committee reports for the health of Higgins Lake. I added on some additional items here in this report that went to the township board just to keep them advised, and I'll just go through those. In addition to overseeing the work of the subcommittees, the steering committee is keeping abreast of other topics within the community that have or may influence the lake. Some of these items will find their way onto an existing subcommittee for further action. Some may need to have new subcommittees established to investigate or report on. Some items may fall outside of the mission of the health of Higgins Lake and be better addressed by other groups. It's our hope that we can address each of these as we go along and provide assistance or guidance. Some of these items include overuse of the lake, state parks, launch sites, and their effect on the lake, wake boats and the damage that they cause, noise pollution on the lake, crowd management and major weekend usage, invasive species, erosion, shoreline management, natural shoreline protections, lake levels, Cut River Dam project, Higgins Lake watershed management plan update, to name a bunch of them. Some of those are being addressed. Well, we'll get to that. There's a little later in the agenda too. A couple of them I'll talk a little more about. But as items come up, these came from comments from people on the website, phone calls, to me or to the supervisor that said, what about this? What are you doing about this? Can we get somebody to take a look at um, the wake boats was a good example that and I hadn't thought too much about it, but did just a little quick research on it. And it's something to be considered. Wake boats in shallow water do plenty of stirring up of the weed bed in the bottom of the lake. So something that will likely end up on somebody's plate as we get some of these other items finished up. These items will be prioritized and addressed as necessary over the next weeks, months, and years. The schedule, put together a Microsoft project schedule, and it's on the website, and it remains certainly a work in progress. It's very difficult and too time consuming to keep up on a daily basis. So likely on a monthly basis, I'll go in and check with each of the committee chairs and see if we have updates we can make to the timing that's on that. Goals and objectives of the Health of Higgins Lake project will be detailed in future versions of this report. While we're addressing added items, we will be providing reports of our progress on the items being addressed now. As projects reach milestones or appropriate reporting levels, progress reports will be prepared and distributed by the Communications Committee, keeping residents informed. So that would be the report that got from the steering committee to the board. And something like this, I think, I'm looking for your input, but something like this will go to the board each month on a monthly basis. If I can get it or the chair can get it the last couple days of the month, it can be consolidated and wordsmithed a little bit and got onto the same format and then made available to the township board at their work session, which is the first Thursday of the month. And ready for the township board meeting on the second Tuesday.
So I have a question. For the past board meetings that we've had, we received emails of the subcommittee reports to our own personal emails. And in this case, they went to you, or I'm just trying to establish the cadence and the direction that the reports flow. So each of these subcommittees, is it the intention that the subcommittee chairs will post their reports through Nextcloud? And then we would have access to it, but the chairperson would summarize for the meeting?
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of what happened, but I didn't see them on Nextcloud is what I'm saying. I mean, like, is that how we're moving forward?
Yeah.
We see the raw, committees. I looked, I'm sorry. I just got to dig deeper maybe as I get better at Nextcloud.
Yeah.
Sorry. There you go. It's a long walk.
Yeah. So,
Is it on?
Turn on.
oh. So what we're looking to have all the chairs do is to place up in the monthly report and the monthly minute subfolders under the sub-chair folders each month's report. There's still some discussion as to the minutes or if we're just going to report what we're doing. Because when we initially started out, we had a sheet that was basically everyone's minutes and
Boilerplate.
it was almost a spreadsheet, more than a document. And I don't know if that's what you folks are looking for or just a monthly summary of what's going on. For instance, I mean, the IT department is 2 people, so we don't really have necessarily meetings. I mean, we have meetings all the time, but it's more of an ongoing thing than a monthly. So from the IT's subcommittee's perspective, just a report of what's going on would be more effective.
Yeah.
From the funding subcommittee, maybe not so much. I mean, minutes might be apropos. What are you folks looking for?
Um, Ed's referring partly to a document I originally started and asked to have used as a suggested it was a format to be used to capture what each of the committees was doing. I'm rethinking that. I'm not too sure that that particular document's a good idea. It's doubles the work, which we certainly don't want. And I'm thinking the best way to get the information out to everybody is this couple of paragraphs at the end of the month to Nextcloud, and then that would be ideal, but that's been a problem so far, getting people to get it on there.
Well, I think we have to show some grace to everybody, including
Sure.
ourselves. This has been a lot. It's a heavy lift to get started. It's a heavy lift to start something from the ground zero, and the IT part of it, kudos to the IT duo who are doing this, that it's a lot to find the right platform and get everybody trained on that right platform. And so I don't think that there's been an issue of communication. I just want to, as we're moving forward, have us understand what the process is as it's evolving. I think it's fair to say that it's going to evolve. And personally, I think a report, a summary, is much more useful than minutes that are, and then this board member spoke and then this type of thing. I don't know what the other steering committee
Correct.
members.
The communication committee would appreciate, I would assume, the paragraph format.
Mhm.
So
I agree.
from my perspective personally, the only thing that was on the sheet that was useful would be a red flag. So maybe keep the red flag section
Right.
in the report.
Mhm.
Red
Other
flag,
than that, it was a duplicate.
Yeah.
right, and red flag, and like what's on the horizon too. Like maybe if that's appropriate, of what we're working on, maybe it's not appropriate for
Well,
ideas that were shared to the communications team or things like that.
that's fair. Quite honestly, even speaking from the funding, things are coming along so fast. I don't know that I can give you something that we're going to know about next.
Oh, I don't think it has to be a required port.
Okay.
Just like maybe not a red flag is required. It's if there is a red flag that comes up.
Okay. I'm sorry. I switched context. I was talking about what you were referring to in terms of futures.
Oh,
So, I mean, what I'm starting to do is I'm almost having a August, September report and a September, October report. It really, everything is spanning 2 months.
Yeah, I know. I struggle with the same thing. It's you do it right till the last day of the month, or there's stuff that's overlapping back and forth. So how it exactly comes together, I think we'll figure it out.
It'll be an iterative process.
Yeah. But we're going to do away with that initial report. It just doesn't lend anything to. That came from an organization I was with that there was 60 people in it, probably all needing to do that report, and it had to be done in a real
Mhm.
structured, and those people were all employees and they could be commanded to do it, and that's their job, but this is way different, and it just doesn't lend anything to the
The only
To the
thing that it
direction.
really adds is work. It doesn't help.
right.
right. Sure. That's good to know.
Okay.
And then
Get rid of that.
I-
Now, not sure that answered your question though yet necessarily.
Well, at least we know that it's on the docket. It's there. People are aware that this is what the format's going to be, is that the subcommittee chairs are going to post their report. Cadence, I don't know. Like, is there a due date so that it can happen in time to get it to the board? That's the dates that I think still need to be.
You said at the end of the month, what does,
If I can get it by the last day of whoever's doing this, if they can get it by the last day of the month, that gives them only a couple of days. Like, for example, this week, I think the work session for the board is on the 3rd, I think. So it only gives them a couple of days, but it only takes a day to do it. So you don't have a lot of time. Most months you've got a week or so to beat and that way when it comes, that information that's in there can be can be laid out to the township board and we can have it as a discussion about here's what we're doing. And at the work session is a good spot for us for the township board to talk about it.
Last day of the month.
Last day of the month.
Okay.
So you're asking that the committee reports be turned in to,
Well,
Next.
Nextcloud, we want to get them on Nextcloud and maybe,
Okay.
how about this? How about if well, maybe that's the right way to do it. Just do it at Nextcloud and that's it. I was going to say, get it to me. Nextcloud, but Nextcloud by the end of the month.
End of business.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that'll have to be summarized into something. I think this is the way to do it. And once again, I'm looking for suggestions here, but that gets summarized into a couple, 3 pages, similar to this. This is listed as September. Next one would be October. Whatever the date of the township board meeting is, that's the next report that would follow on to this. If there was things on a paragraph here for the road ends that needed to have follow-up on, that piece could be copied over into that report by the committee chair. And then.
So to get this
Verbalized.
straight in my head, you're saying that the subcommittee chairs post to I want to say Netflix, sorry, Nextcloud. The chair would prepare the report and it would go to the board, but that would go to the board before we meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a concern to me that a committee meeting report is going to the board before we've had a chance to go through it and say.
Then that's a good point. Then that can just simply be, that report to the township board would be a month in arrears then.
So this report will go to them in October.
Yeah.
Should be the.
Actually-
Well, so that the subcommittee chairs can review it.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't go back until we've had a chance to hear and
We're-
refine.
We're going to meet about the middle of the month. Or, well,
That's it.
maybe.
That's what-
This is 17th now, right? So we're going to meet about the middle of the month. If we still stuck with the reports are due to Nextcloud by the end of the month, we got a couple of weeks. The township board is going to meet and move on. And at that township board meeting, we can talk about what happened the month before.
There you
Come
go.
up and then,
So what we have here is going to be reported to them in October. And then what's going to be reported on Nextcloud by the end of September, we'll review, and then that will be reported to them
In November.
in November.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one already went to them is what,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, this one.
So we pause and
Yeah.
we rethink. Okay. All right.
When is that public consumption after this board approves it or after the township?
This board this is like a planning commission. The planning commission is we approve these minutes from the last meeting and, they will be made a matter of record from the ones that we talked about at this meeting. Will they be made a matter of record and available next week now to the public? Just like the planning commission meetings get approved. Once they're approved, I think Tom's here. I think maybe it's within 2 weeks that the clerk gets them published, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it's roughly the.
Yeah.
So starting next month, to follow up on Sue's question is, we have new information. That's after the township board has met. Then the communications team can post the results of our steering committee meeting before we present it in November to the Gerrish Township Board.
Well, they're going to present what was approved at this meeting, the minutes that were approved at this meeting and action that was taken at this meeting.
So we're just presenting to them. So this is going to the public before it's presented to the township board. I just want to make sure we're
That's what
clear.
I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's an nice thing to do.
And I
wanna make
think
sure
that's,
public record and if it's not, if we need to, I mean, here, you look like you're hesitating.
well, I'm just trying to think how the planning commission does it. The planning commission, posts their information irrespective of the township board. Correct? I don't think we don't, the township board does not act on the planning commission's minutes. Planning commission meets, they record their minutes and
present it.
they,
And
they
they're
publish it.
presented.
That's what we want to act the same way.
All right. We feel good about that? We're done with that?
Can we review that one? So
As,
when is it going to the public? Like, oh,
after we meet here, the
okay,
steering committee meets
before it's reviewed by,
before
The
it's
township board.
presented to the township board.
okay,
So they
okay.
can read it ahead of time before the board meeting.
yeah, okay. So it's not, okay, I gotta make sure I
Right.
make a note of that, okay?
You get it on paper and we will all agree on it and we'll vote on it at the next meeting. Well, those will come up again, so we'll know what the sequence is at our next meeting.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question, it's more of a looking ahead based on what's happened thus far. I, as we all are volunteers in this work, and I want to make sure that as a steering committee steering committee member, I just want to cast this out there that I don't want people to become burned out because of the pace that we're trying to keep here.
Too late. I love your spirit, but too late.
And that's why I'm bringing it up is, I mean, you say you're meeting every 2 weeks, they're meeting every day. This has been a problem, a concern. The health of Higgins Lake has been a concern for decades. And I would just wish to mention that people are volunteering their time and they have lives outside of this. And I would just be concerned that they not get burned out. And if the red flag comes up, can we have that be a red flag that the committees say, we need to slow down, or we need to examine the cadence, or we need to talk? I think that the steering committee needs to have that as a concern, to keep that in the forefront of our minds, that this is all volunteers. Because I talked to 3 different people. I came up last night. I've already talked to 3 people in my neighborhood, and they're like, well, when are they going to do this? And when are they going to do that? And when are they going to, I'm like, pop, 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 pop. I'm like, hey, we've had 3 meetings. So, I mean, yes, there's intensity because people care about the lake, but I think showing grace to ourselves and to others to say, this isn't going to happen overnight, and to do it and do it well is going to take time. And so I would ask the subcommittees to really be aware of that with your membership, to say, do we need to put the brakes on at this time? I mean, Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, how are we going to do this and keep the pace? I just would ask that the subcommittee chairs keep an eye on their members and let us know if things are rushing or, that's me. That's all.
I couldn't agree more. I'm guilty of that problem, but I'm cognizant of the fact that, this has been a beautiful summer here, and we've got a meeting at 2:00 in the afternoon, and people would prefer to be on their boat. I get that. And we need to make sure that we're going forward, because we need the people that are here involved in this project. We need to have them stay involved.
And we're looking for other people to be and to say that we have too fast of a pace. If they're weighing their own responsibilities and schedules. Please. Getting your steps in.
I am getting I've got my Fitbit on, so I'm good. It has been a crazy summer,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people have put a lot of effort in, but it's front loaded. And I think what we just talked about, how that one reporting thing just created more work. I think we're trying, at least the people I'm working with, we're trying to be conscious of making it so everybody has a little piece of things to do. You know, one person does email, one person does Facebook, one person does website, and it's very front loaded. The whole cloud, Zotero, blah, blah, blah. That was all very front loaded, heavy front loaded. The only thing that's really long term and hopefully maybe not as long as we think, that's going to continue to be work is the purple dots.
Mhm.
But everything else I think was more front loaded
So you
than,
feel like you've kind of overcome
I think
that?
we're over the hump.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree.
You can't add people. I mean, one basic rule of IT is you can't take and add people and next expect a project to get done more quickly. Oftentimes it makes it go slower. And, you know, it's the typical person month or the example of a woman can have a baby in 9 months, but 9 women can't have a baby in 1 month. You know? Yeah.
I think your point is very well taken, and we need to be very careful that we don't get too carried away. For example, the first two items that goes along with it under the new business here is the watershed man, and I'm just going to move into those. We can come back to this, June, if you want, but the watershed management plan update, and the invasive species grant program. These are both grant applications that showed up on people's email last week. Well, the stupid things are due next week. You know, they just, you know, and it's a huge project to put these together. You know, you can scramble around and drag people in and try to make this happen. No, we met on this. I met with a couple of phone calls and Zoom calls on this, and we're just going to back off and keep an eye on what it is. We're going to talk with the principals at the on both the invasive species, well, actually on the watershed management plan, and say we're interested in it next year. But in the meantime, what do we got to do to get our ducks in a row to get ready for it? So taking that on would have been way too. But while I'm on the watershed management plan, there's stacks of stuff here. The watershed management plan, I finally got to look at it the other day, and it is a huge project, and it took, I don't even know, I couldn't find out how much money they spent on it, but there was an awful lot of work. They came up with, I think, 13 goals in it. Each one of those goals has had, you know, specific timelines and money associated with it, and estimates. A lot of them were accomplished, some of them weren't. And now, but that was in 2007. And now it's time. It's going to go on 10, 20 years now and it needs to be updated. Once it is updated, it's a good idea. Once it is updated, now you have that vehicle, that watershed management plan that you can point to when you go for grant applications and say, we want to work on goal number 16, and here's what it takes. And it's a part of this overall project that you helped us, that the Eagle helped us fund in the first place. So, but to do that in 2 weeks is crazy. So we're going to back off, and then mostly because I don't know how it could ever got done, let alone all the work we'd have caused for people, to your point, you know. So the invasive species piece of it, the next one here is the invasive species. The Higgins Lake Foundation has done a great job with invasive species all over the lake for the last 10, 15 years. And this looks like it belongs more in their wheelhouse than ours. So we talked with the chair or the president of the foundation and another member, and they're going to own that. They're going to take it. We're going to support it in every way we can and take the lead from them and what we can do. So as a steering committee, we'll just keep an ear to what they need, and then go from there, at least for the time being anyway. They'll deal with it. So I put this next one on here, craft a message on the purpose of the health of Higgins Lake. The communications committee came to me a couple of weeks ago and said, let's do a little video to talk about what we're doing here. Why are we different than everything else that's gone on over the years? And so they had the ideas, and we put together just a little 4 or 5 minute video talking about exactly that. And if it makes sense, we can do that again. But I think our mission statement and some of the goals that we set up long ago, still, to me, when I go back and look at these, to facilitate and guide a renewed collaborative effort of stakeholders with a common interest in securing the overall health of Higgins Lake for generations to come. I mean, I think it's what we're still working on, what we're trying to do. So there are part of that number 3, the reason it's on there, frankly, is because I make the mistake of looking too closely at some of the negative stuff that's out there on the internet. And there's a few people that are taking exception to what we're doing. And I'd like to, if they've got good, specific, documented points or positions, then we really need to take a look at them. But if it's simply taking a crack at individuals that are working on this thing, you got to set that stuff aside. So that's kind of where this came from. I think we just need to be aware of what's out there and what's going on and what people are saying, and grab the important stuff out of those conversations, and keep your head down and keep moving on the rest of it. So internal versus external. I think when I wrote this, it felt like there was something the steering committee ought to look into. When we're doing this work, your individuals, the communications, every one of the people that are out there doing whatever for their committee, they're out researching the internet. They're bringing together documents. They're working, maybe collaborating with another individual about what the inspectors list should look like or whatever on the septic committee. That all that work that's out there needs to be viewed as a work in progress, in my opinion. The township board, the work that the township board does needs to be transparent to the people in, the general public. And I think it is. I think this board's very transparent. You listen to a few people and nothing's transparent, but the work that the township board does is made public. It comes across this table on 2 meetings a month, and people know what's going on. If they don't, that's their problem if they don't figure it out. The planning commission is a arm of or a department within in Gerrish Township. The work that they do is done in public, and it's recorded like we are, and that work remains very transparent. Their minutes are made available at every one of their meetings. People know exactly what they're working on. And this board right here is the same way. The work that we do needs to be transparent. We've just made them transparent. We've approved the minutes. We're taking notes. We're telling people what we're working on. We've read reports. It's a matter of the minutes. It's a matter of Zoom. We're being transparent. But the work that the subcommittees do is not legally. It's a step down from these departments, and it's not required to make every move that you make, every email that I make with regard to the septic committee, and every spreadsheet I might put together. I don't even know if it's going to be something that ever sees the light of day. I don't think that information needs to be made public. And that's my position. And I've asked enough people about it, and I'm interested in your thoughts on it. And I'm not trying to steer you down a way you don't want to go, but that's my 2 cents. Comments?
So what you're saying is that the subcommittees, like we have to report our minutes, the steering committee, but the subcommittees do not.
That's right.
Okay. And then anything leading up to it, like how they get to the point where they make their summary, all those steps along the way doesn't have to be reported to the public. That's just their process.
That's my take on it, yes.
Well,
And they
that's
will
my-
have to, they will need to then get some sort of a report back to the steering committee, who is going to weigh in on it and say, Brad, yep, that's exactly what we needed to see, and we need to better understand these pieces of your report. And then we will accept their final report and make it a part of the steering committee's documentation, which is just like the planning commission's documentation is made public.
So how are those documents? So like the minutes are just about the meeting, so the summary documents are gonna be in another like file that can be made public.
Yeah, I would, the science committee is going to come back at some point and say, here are findings from these 10 reports that we did with regard to the amount of phosphorus in the lake, and have that, whatever that report is. And we're going to review that report, and this committee will review that report and say, we understand it. We think it fits in with what all the other departments are doing and the other subcommittees are doing. And we accept your report, or we reject your report because we don't think it's gone far enough, and send it back to them and have them review it. Once we get in here and we say, yep, that's the way this all fits together as the steering committee, then we accept that report, and then we forward it on up to the township board if it needs any action. At some
Thank-
point, we're going to forward stuff up to the township board that says, we need to have you make a decision on a whatever, septic ordinance, or the next step that the steering committee or that the science committee wants to take.
And so the public, I know I asked this question before, but I just want to make sure I'm clear about it. So we accept the report, and then it's good, and we're gonna give it to the board. At what point then the public is gonna get it before the board? That's what we said. Right?
If it's attached, it goes to the public.
Well, it's going to become a part of the minutes.
Okay,
It'll become a part of the minutes, and when those minutes become recorded and approved, then it goes to the public.
Okay.
Then it'll be in,
okay, gotcha. So I got it. I understand now.
You're saying recorded and approved by us here.
The following month.
the following month. It will be,
Just
once
like we did
the minutes are approved.
Oh, so we just put another delay on there that we didn't have. All right, so, because we had said that. Again, it'd be really great if we had some chart paper.
Yeah.
But basically, we're saying that when we are done in October, and we've talked about it, and that's for November, we have to wait until after the November meeting when the minutes are approved to post it in December,
I can't put this up, anything in here up
until we've approved the minutes from the
Yeah.
previous meeting.
Well, what are you looking at there? What, that report that I just gave to the township board?
It's right here, yeah.
I think in this case, I probably gave that to the township board. That information that's in there sounds like a month early. It's something that we should have taken a look at. I should have read this to you before I gave it to the township
Right.
board last week.
So that's one segment of the question. So now we had ironed that part out, that we would see it before it goes to them the following month. Part B of our question now is, when can communications post that? And does it have to be yet another month delay because we have to approve the minutes?
They don't become official until they've been approved at a subsequent meeting. A lot of information becomes public long before it gets approved. It goes to the public. A lot of stuff that we do goes to the public, and then it doesn't become a matter of record until the following meeting.
So it goes to the public first?
Before it can get into some of the stuff we've done goes to the public before it goes to the next board meeting, where it gets finally approved.
Okay.
So since this wasn't on the agenda to be approved at this meeting, we will be approving this and the end of the month summaries that are going to be coming in at the next meeting. Because we didn't add this to the agenda for approval.
And you're looking at the committee reports.
Correct.
Committee reports, okay, the committee reports would be,
But that's already gone to the board.
it's already gone to the
so-
board. That part's, that
This
ship
one
sailed.
has.
Yeah.
But right now, I say I brought these, or the chair brought these reports to the committee for your approval. And one of the first items that would have been on here would have been, you would have got these ahead of time before today's meeting, and there would have been a approval of committee reports.
Okay, so we did receive these
Yeah,
via email before this meeting.
yes,
So if we were to right now, can we make a motion to approve the reports?
we can.
Because then we can post the reports. And if we make that a regular part of our agenda,
Right.
then we can get them out in a more timely way.
These, like item, even
And that's
right
it.
behind roll call, the next one there could have been approved committee reports.
Approve the committee reports.
And you will have read those reports
Because
and
we've
you may
all
have
gotten them.
questions about them. We would make a motion to approve them. We'd open up discussion. If you had questions about them, we could talk about it. We could remove pieces, we could edit them, and then we could vote on whether they're approved or not. And that would be done. These reports would then become a matter of,
So we wouldn't have approval of the reports right off the start because we'd have to have the report of the reports and then we approve them.
We will be getting the,
Yes, but we didn't have a chance to like talk it over and mark them up and make corrections and ask questions so that when they do go out to the public, they are
yeah.
fully approved.
So you're saying that we should get them prior to the meeting?
We are going to get them prior to the meeting, but I think we still need time to talk about them during the meeting.
Right.
Before they
Wouldn't
go out
that
to-
happen when it goes for the motion? Like, don't you have a discussion at that point
yes.
So then
prior to the,
he read through the whole report. That was a good half an hour.
yeah,
Right. So I'm just saying it wouldn't, if that's going to happen at the beginning, wherever it's going to happen, we have to
Okay.
have that time to talk for.
So I
we
think
wanna
we did
get
talk
that-
about it. In this case, we went through each of these,
Yes, we did.
we talked about them. I read them, we discussed them.
So
Then would be the time for.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm
Gotcha.
saying, is that then would be the time that we approve the reports. And then the reports can be sent to communication so that they're posted in a
Yeah.
timely way
Yeah.
With whatever modifications necessary.
with whatever modifications are necessary. Okay, so I'm not a Robert's rule like card carrying member, but can we add to this and approve those reports so that comms can get them out?
can you just say I motion? Can't you?
I make.
I can entertain a motion. Yeah, I can entertain a
I
motion.
make a motion that we approve the reports for September as in this document.
Do we have a
with
second?
Corrections.
I'll second it.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, it's been moved and seconded that we approved the reports as presented and discussed for September 2025.
Great. And then we'll add that to subsequent agendas
Yep,
that will make that part of our regular.
right after.
business.
All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
I will, yeah, that should come in right under these subcommittee reports. After we go through each of those, had that discussion on, now we're going to approve those reports as presented. I
So
think
that we
that
can
makes the
get them
cleanest
out
way.
in a timely way.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
that was easy. Okay. We were talking about internal versus external, and I guess I just leave it at that. I believe we're doing exactly the right thing. People are out working. Nobody should be able to, and somebody's liable to say the heck we can't, and we'll test that and we'll deal with that one if the time comes, but they're going to have to deal with it everywhere then.
But I think it speaks well that this conversation is being had because we want to be transparent.
Yeah.
It's just at what level of granularity do you
Yeah.
need to be transparent?
Right.
And by summarizing the reports, we're offering information from each of the subcommittees every single meeting.
Yeah. The planning commission, the chair is going to have a meeting and deal with all of the items that are on the agenda. But at the same time, two of his people have been off working on some idea. That information is up to them to go and noodle that and come back with the explanation to the board, and that's how they get their work done. So, and I think that's exactly what we're doing here. So. Ed?
If someone were to demand access to the next cloud, who is not part of the Health of Higgins Lake subcommittee, is that something that we should do or absolutely not?
I say no.
If it's,
That's why it's there. It's a work product for a subcommittee that's out doing this work. That's what it's for.
if it's not covered under FOIA law, then there's no obligation.
And I'm not saying that that may not get tested. There's, so
We just saying, what is our position?
no.
So we need to handle it. No, because
Yeah.
Right.
We'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting and do some research into those reasons and talk about, I don't want to make any kind of a motion now without having the benefit of, talking to some people about it, but so I'm going to put on here to revisit. Okay, we're getting toward the end here. The communications video, that was already brought up. We already talked about that. It was a great idea. I think I think there should be more of those. You spread them around, different people that are doing, I think it's something that seems to be pretty easily done. Easy for me to say, I didn't have much to do with it, but it's, yeah, right. Well, I'm not sure that's the right word, but nevertheless, I think we should do that with others and keep that moving. Legislative outreach, I just wanted to make a note here. Our state representative, Ken Borton, had a fundraiser a couple of weeks ago, and I attended that, and I got a couple minutes with him afterwards, one-on-one, and told him a little bit about what we were doing. This is a little elevator talk, but just what we're doing, what we're working on. And the state of Michigan is very much involved in what we're working on and contributes to some of the problems we're looking at. So, and I explained to him that we're going to be looking to Lansing at some point for some help, and he was very receptive to that. So we're going to keep that on as a topic on legislative outreach and have somebody, communicating with all our legislative representatives. And our next meeting, June, you and I were talking about, do we want to have, I think we need to, for right now, we need to keep having a monthly meeting just like this, a meeting of record. But we're considering whether we would have a work session and have regular meetings every 2 months and a work session on the opposite months.
And work session quarterly, even if that was
separate from maybe even separate from, have monthly meetings and then a work session.
Bi-monthly meetings and a quarterly work meeting. The reason I mentioned the idea of a workshop is just to roll up your sleeves and talk to each of the committee members and have live dialogue instead of a report.
Mm-hmm. And we could spread that out over a couple of hours and have committees come in and have their time on the agenda, so I think that's something that we should maybe kick around. We should think about. So,
and the date of the next meeting?
What's the?
I have the 21st.
Yep.
Does that match up with the?
Yep. And are we doing 6 o'clock or 7? What's the?
I would like to move it to 7 o'clock is what I'd like to see, but
Past my bedtime.
past your bedtime.
I can't be here that day, but I can be here on Zoom.
What about 7s? 7 o'clock typically, is that a okay time for you?
I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, that part, but.
All the meetings that go on here, we're the only one that's not at 7 o'clock. And
Okay.
That's fine.
I think I'm for 7 o'clock.
I will not be here on that date, nor will I be able to Zoom.
Okay. And you can Zoom though?
I can Zoom.
And that's October the,
21st.
that's the third Tuesday. Okay. Well, let's leave it scheduled at that and then we'll see if how we're doing.
At
What about
7
you? 7 o'clock. That'll have to be, I'll make a note to get that to the township board that meeting's right now, it's recorded as 6 o'clock, but I'll get that changed to give them a note to change it to 7.
2 to 7.
Yeah.
And then as far as a work session,
Let's wait till another meeting and then go from there and we'll maybe get some ideas on what that work session will look like and we can schedule. I think that probably would get scheduled in between monthly meetings. I think that would be, so let's just let it ride till November. Okay. Public comment. Is there anybody from the audience that has any comment? You're welcome to talk. No? Then I don't have any additional announcements that we haven't talked about. Anybody else have anything? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support?
I'll support it.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7:30. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your interest and your support.
Okay, last question. Did you make the motion or did you?